What's up? What's going on, guys? My name is Bizjack. Thank you so much for being here on the Path to Mindset Mastery. I'm a mindset coach and inspirational speaker and the creator of the online course Appreciation Academy. And today I'm here to talk to you about a really challenging topic for a lot of people, and that is the topic of enjoying the holidays when your family always ruins them. So make sure that you stay tuned until the end of this, because I have a really, really amazing gift that I want to give you for just in honor of Thanksgiving that I'm gonna give that to you at the end. So just stick around until the end. I'll show you what that is. But most of you, I'm sure, can relate to the topic of stressful families, right? I know I sure can in a lot of ways. I dreaded the holidays most of my life, and every time I would come home, it would just drain me. It would cause stress and anxiety, and it would completely emotionally drain me. And Janice and I even had this little joke that was Operation Make Brad Love Christmas Again, because I truly didn't love it. I hated it for the longest time, and ever since I was a kid, it was just stress and anxiety, and there's so much blame and anger and resentment. There's stress around money, there's people talking shit about each other. If one person isn't around, someone else talks crap about the other one. There's so much narcissism. There's all of these things that are going on, and there's unrealistically high expectations. And when I don't personally meet those expectations, it feels like I'm not worthy of love. And last year, one of my family members completely avoided me because when I was home from Christmas, they were mad at me about something I don't even remember. And I remember being in the car, and I was really upset, and I was actually crying, and Janice was sitting there, and I was going, I just don't understand why this person doesn't love me. And like what did I do wrong? Like, why do I deserve this? Why is my family so fucked up? And I used to say those things all the time. And there are these little digs that are always thrown around in the holidays. Like in every situation, some little dig, like a little knife going under the rib, right? And I remember whenever I'm back home, like, my family doesn't even ask about my life or Janice's life. It's not even brought up once. So, for example, this past week when we were there for 4 days, and not even one person asked us about what was going on in our lives at all. And I'm not saying that we need that, but it's kind of nice if your family actually cares about you, right? So I could go on and on about the stress and about how the holidays have been in the past, and every year it would just get exponentially more intense and stressful, like than I just shared a minute ago. And so what's interesting about this is I had some really cool contrast, right? I had really cool contrast with my wife's family. It's beautiful. It's really, really cool. The holidays with them are full of love and excitement and energy, and they're, poking fun at each other, and they're just being relaxed, and it's a really cool thing to watch. I'm so grateful to be welcomed into that family, but it gave me some really interesting contrast about between the beauty and the shit. And today I want to help you experience a beautiful holiday while you're still in the shit. So I'm going to give you tactical strategies to actually love the holidays instead of hate them. So this is what I personally do whenever I go home. And my goal is to help you to choose to use this to start loving the holidays with your family again, even when they are negative. So let's get into it. So number one is kind of an overarching theme for all of this. Number one is stop asking why me. That was a huge thing I had to do. Stop asking why me. Something you need to realize is that your family has nothing to do with your happiness. The people in your life are not responsible for your happiness. You are responsible for your happiness. And I talk about this in detail in my online course Appreciation Academy, but I talk about how my wife doesn't make me happy. I make me happy, right? That's a positive example. But your family doesn't make you happy. You make you happy. I am the only person responsible for my happiness, and so are you. You are the only person responsible for the smile on your face. So the first step to all of this is to take ownership of your emotions. And I can't get into all of that in a 15-minute podcast. That's what Appreciation Academy is for, but you need to realize that your emotions are 100% up to you. Life is made up of two things: events and the meaning you give to those events that happens. And if you choose to make your holidays mean that you have a horrible family life, then guess what? You are damn right, and that's what's going to happen. If you choose to make it mean something new, something empowering, then you're going to experience that as well. A simple example to show you what I mean about changing the meaning in a situation is if a man opens the door for a woman and she's really, really excited about it. Why? Is it because of him opening the door, or is it because of what she interprets him opening the door to mean? Is what she interprets it to mean, right? Because think about this. If someone else, if a different man opens the door for a different woman and she's really pissed off, why is that? Think about that. If she's all pissed off saying, I can get it myself, why is that? The event never changed. Dude still opened the door for a woman, right? but she has a different meaning of what that is to her, right? So let's change the meaning we give to our holidays. What if instead of the holidays being a stressor, what if you adopt the meaning that your holidays are an opportunity for you to show love to your family? You could change your entire family dynamic by just adopting that new meaning. The reality is that your biography is not destiny. What does that mean? That means that just because you grew up having shitty holidays, that does not mean you need to experience that again. Realize that your happiness is your responsibility, and when you are happy, it affects everybody around you. So stop asking. Number one, stop asking, why does this suck so bad? And start asking, how can I show my family love over the holidays? Start giving instead of expecting to get. Does that make sense? Start giving instead of expecting to get. In fact, one of my favorite quotes of all time is from my mentor, Tony Robbins. And he says, trade your expectations for appreciations and your life changes instantly. What does that mean? What if instead of expecting your family to act differently and being disappointed every time they don't fall in line with that expectation, what if instead you appreciate the contrast it gives you in your life? What if you're grateful for the time that you do have left with them on this planet, right? And can you imagine how that would help? So let's get into some tactical strategies of what's going to happen after you choose to take ownership of your happiness. After you say, you know what, the holidays are my responsibility. My happiness is my responsibility. What else can you do to make sure that you have a great time when you're home, when you're inevitably surrounded by people that stress you out? So number two, compassion and forgiveness. Compassion and forgiveness is number two. You need to realize that hurt people hurt people. That is so important to realize. The thing that they make the holidays about them, right? And they judge you every time you aren't saying anything that's in line with their expectations, or they want you to change behavior. They're upset about what's actually going on, guys, is that they're upset about their own life. That's what's actually going on. They are in pain. They're deeply hurting. So what if you choose compassion instead? What if you had empathy for the fact that they were hurting? And what if you chose to make it mean that you were going to love them? Can you imagine how their life would change? I used to believe that if my family is negative, which they are, if my family is negative, it means they suck, right? I didn't want to be around them. I used to believe that my family was negative, and so I would be negative every time I walked into the situation and judge. Now, whenever they're negative, what I do is I make it mean that they just need a hug. That's it. So if my new belief is, if my family is negative, they just need a hug. Like, how would things change for you if you did that? Like, what if they were complaining and gossiping and talking shit about each other and talking about what's wrong in the world, which happens in my family every day? What if when they were doing that, when you were there, what if you just went up to them and said, I love you, it's going to be okay, and you give them a hug? Like, how would that change your dynamic if you just showed love in their time of pain? You had compassion. When they make little digs at you, which you know inevitably will happen, what if you choose to forgive them? What if you just decide to let it go? What if you brush it off? What if you realize that it has nothing to do with you and it's 100% their own pain that they're experiencing? You being angry about what they said doesn't change their behavior, right? It doesn't make them reflect on who they are. It just makes them feel worse about themselves and worse about you. So what if you chose to forgive them when those little jabs with that knife under your ribs happen? Wouldn't you see that inevitably it would make the situation better? It would change the way that you lead your life. It would change the way that you approach your family. So I'm telling you right now, letting it go and choosing to forgive in those times, it just makes you feel lighter. And what's so cool is when you feel lighter around the people that used to stress you out, it helps them feel lighter. Okay, so that's number two, is to choose compassion and forgiveness in those tough times. Number three is stop trying to correct them. This is huge, 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 huge. Stop trying to correct them. So write this down. It is impossible to love someone if you're judging them. It's impossible to love someone if you're judging them. When you try to correct someone's behavior, what you're saying is, I disapprove of the way you act and I judge you for being wrong. That's all you're saying to them when you disapprove of what they say. So how do you think that makes them feel, right? You're basically saying my love is conditional upon you changing the way you think and the way you act and the way you show me love. That's what you're saying. You're saying your love is conditional on something they're doing. And when your love is conditional on their behavior, they actually don't feel love from you. They feel judgment, right? And love, like we talked about, is the only thing they really need right now from you. Remember, hurt people, they're in pain. They need compassion from you. They need love. So if you're judging them, it's actually going to make them shut down more. When you go and say, if you would just change this about you, all you're saying is, I don't love you right now, and that's going to make them retract. It will close them off to love even more, and it makes the situation worse, and it compounds, and it compounds, and it compounds. So what if you stop trying to correct them, and you just accept the way they are? They're entitled to their own opinion. Even, yes, Janice, 100%. When they go low, you go high, right? They're entitled to their own opinion. You don't need to agree with their opinion. And you also don't need to judge, right? They are right in their own eyes. And you can't love someone if you're judging them. So if you just accept what they said as their opinion, and you didn't try to change it, and you didn't show them judgment, you just showed them acceptance, guess what's going to happen? Guess what's going to happen when you do that? They're going to lower their guard eventually. Maybe not right away, but you choosing to not judge can be the catalyst to the relationship getting better and better and better, but it starts with you. It always starts with you, okay? So stop trying to correct them is number 3. Number 4, use it as contrast to improve your life and be grateful for the fact that you're going through it. I used to make it wrong that my family was negative. I used to say when my family is more positive, when this happens. I used to say that all the time. Instead, I started adopting this idea of contrast. So what does that mean? People's lives are examples or warnings. That's it. People's lives are examples or warnings. And a lot of my family is a warning for what I don't want in my life, right? It's a warning. It's a big red flag. Just like we talked about a little bit ago, biography is not destiny. When you judge, correct, and have anger, you're actually doing the same thing they're doing, right? You're sinking down to that level and you're making your biography destiny. You're making it the same thing as them, right? When in reality, it doesn't need to be the case. When you're around your family over Thanksgiving or Christmas, notice the feedback of what you love and don't love about that situation. Notice it and apply it to your own life. Again, don't try to change them. Change you. Change your family, your future kids, your future relationship, right? I made a decision that I would take the horrible example of money and judgment and fear and stress and anxiety and blame and anger and change the way that I treat my wife and change the way that we're going to treat our future kids. So what if you become grateful for it? What if you take the high road and actually be grateful for your family that chooses negativity? Think about how that would change things. What if this contrast is actually leading you to a better life? Think about what all this could be creating within you. If your family isn't negative, would you be listening to a podcast right now on how to be happy? If your family didn't judge you, would you be as accepting of other people in your life? If your family didn't have a horrible relationship with money, would you be striving to create your own business or career? If you didn't feel inadequate as a kid around the holidays or any other situation, and you still see those patterns repeating now, you probably wouldn't have found personal growth and development. You probably wouldn't have found this desire for emotional freedom, right? So what if all the shit, what if the worst days of your life were secretly the best days of your life all along because they gave you contrast for the way that you want to improve yours? What if these holidays, these negative memories were the greatest gift you ever received because they created you? They were crafting you, they were molding you, they were sculpting you into the person you are today. Think about how that would change your life if you adopted that meaning. They were never wrong. The minute you say it is wrong that I went through that, it is wrong that I experienced a negative holiday growing up, it's wrong that my family is negative, it's just gonna fuck with your head, right? So what if you look at it just as is, and you choose to be grateful for all of the amazing contrast that came out of it? All of a sudden, it's never too late to have an amazing childhood because you're grateful you went through it because it created you. If I didn't go through all of that pain and negative emotion and stress as a kid, I wouldn't be who I am today. So it is never too late to have an amazing childhood. It is never too late to have an amazing holiday. You just need to realize the contrast in these situations, realize that people's lives are warnings or an example, and you can choose to adopt one or the other. It's totally up to you. Because when you truly see all the good that is coming from it, not just the negativity in the moment, but all the good, and you have a bigger perspective on life, it's a pretty powerful meaning you can adopt. And that's just one of the ways that you can have an amazing holiday, right? You take that higher road, you adopt that bigger perspective on, this is helping me become a better parent, right? Being around this person that's negative is helping me love other people more. So that's number 4. Number 5, set your intentions. This is a tactical strategy you can actually do when you are in the situation with your family. Number 5, set your intentions. So most people go through life in reaction to what happens around them, right? And chances are that's what you've done in holidays in the past. You go in, you expect things to be shitty, and guess what? It sucks. because you're reacting to people, right? You're going in and someone says something that it hits that little button inside you that just makes you full of rage and anger, right? And so you're letting your energy be dictated by other people's actions, when in reality that's bullshit, right? I challenge you to take a proactive approach to life, a proactive approach to the situations when you're around your family. So when I'm about to walk into a negative situation with a family member, I pause for 15, 20 seconds. The first time I did this, Janice looked at me like I was nuts. But it was pretty funny. She was like, what are you doing? But I pause for 15, 20 seconds. I close my eyes and I say to myself, I am responsible for my happiness. I'm going to have an amazing time regardless of what anyone does. I'm going to show them love. I'm going to forgive. I'm going to choose compassion. I'm not going to correct them. I'm going to love them. I am in control of my happiness. I am in control of my mindset and no one else. And then I walk in the door. And then from walking in the door with that mindset, when that person inevitably says that thing that's negative or says that thing that used to piss me off, I have that intention. I say, I'm going to be positive. I'm going to choose compassion and forgiveness, and it doesn't affect me nearly as much. So be proactive. Set your intentions with how you want to walk in the room, and you'll carry yourself in a completely different way, and your energy will be higher. And finally, number 6, protect your energy. Protect your energy. What does that mean? Like I always talk about, your life is a direct reflection of the expectations of your peer group. That's another Tony Robbins quote. Your life is a direct reflection of the expectations of your peer group. So that means when you surround yourself with people that are negative, you're going to start to become negative. So I love this. Love your family. Pick your peer group. Love your family, pick your peer group. That means show love, show compassion, show grace, show forgiveness for your family, but do not change based on their standards. If they have a lower standard to how they're living life, you do not change because of them. When you're surrounded people playing the poor me card, which I am every time I go home for the holidays, you're going to notice that your energy is draining. Your battery is going to be going down. That's normal because energy is a real thing. You being around negative people will suck the life out of you unless you're truly enlightened, right? So over time, over the time with my family, Janice and I had this little code that we would use this past weekend when we were with my family up in Chicago, that we would use to protect our energy. It was as simple as, I think the dog needs to go for a walk. That was it. So we'd walk the dog. We'd leave the house, we'd walk the dog. We'd recharge our batteries, we'd talk to each other about what's going on, and we'd set our intentions walking back into the room again. So even though you're making the conscious choice to enter a toxic environment with the goal of showing love to your family, you still need to protect your energy. You don't need to spend 100% of your time with them. But you do need to recharge your own batteries because, as you know very well, like those weekends can be draining. And you can't pour from an empty love cup, right? You can't pour love from an empty love cup. So fill that up by taking time for you. That's what I personally do to have an amazing holiday with my family. And notice, like when I combine all these things, the compassion, the love, the forgiveness, all of this stuff that I talked to you guys about in the last 10, 15 minutes, realize that it has none of this at all has anything to do with what your family says and does. None of this has anything to do with their actions, their behaviors. None of it. It is 100% you. It's 100% your responsibility. Your life, your emotions, your happiness are 100% on you and no one else. None of my points that I made today will change them, but it will change you. And what's so cool about changing you is when you do, other people are affected by you walking into a room with a different energy, a different desire, a different goal every time you walk in. But it always, always, always starts with you 100% of the time. So if you're challenged by this, if you're challenged by taking ownership of your life, if you're challenged by your limiting beliefs about your family, and more importantly, your limiting beliefs about your own happiness, and you don't know how to be happy in these times, and you feel so in reaction to everything else that's going on in life, I have an online course that breaks through all of that. All of it. I have a course that will change the way you view your entire world. I have a course that literally teaches you how to be happy. It's beautiful. It's how I've taken my disempowering past and made it into something that has changed thousands of lives. And it teaches you how to take the pain of your past and turn it into something that's meaningful and powerful and changes lives yourself. So you have the ability to change your future, but it starts 100% within you. And I can actually teach you how to do that. And because the holidays are about giving, like I talked about at the beginning, I have a special gift for you at the end of this. I'm going to make the program 30% off its normal cost when you use the program, or when you use the promo code Thankful. So use the promo code Thankful, and you will get 30% off the program for both the full pay and the payment plan option. This special will only be valid through Sunday, November 25th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you felt something real from this, if you felt that it would just impact you in such a positive way to look at life in a little bit different perspective and choose to have happiness in these challenging times, I highly encourage you to join Appreciation Academy. You can find that at www.appreciationacademy.com, and if you use the keyword or the promo code Thankful, you'll be able to claim that 30% off discount. So thank you very much for watching today. I hope you find this valuable as you're about to enter Thanksgiving tomorrow. You're about to go into those tough times with those negative family members, and if you have an amazing family life, amazing, that's great. This video is mostly to help the people that go into those challenging times with your family. So I hope you take a lot away from this training today. I hope you can apply this and use it when you walk into those situations, and you will notice your holidays can be positive, they can be uplifting, they can be happy. But like we talked about today, 100% of it starts with you. Thank you for watching The Path to Mindset Mastery, and I will see you next week.